soccer moms, soccer dads, wine drinkers, and beer drinkers. Welcome to the Middle Age Moments Podcast, where they discuss everyday topics that your basic bitch
Who are you calling a bitch?
and grumpy ass men you believe this shit face daily. Hosted by your favorite imperfect couple, Chad and Erica Jump.
Hello and welcome to the Middle Age Moment Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Chad Jump, sitting with the lovely Erica Jump.
Hello.
And today we are bringing you episode 16.
Wow, that's awesome.
It is awesome. We have made it to episode 16. Slowly but surely, we're getting there. But, you know, it's better late than never, right?
Yeah. We seem to be taking these 2-week breaks, and some of our listeners aren't liking the 2 weeks. They're like, wait, when's a new episode coming out?
Yeah. I would have never thought that some people didn't have better things to do other than listen to us. But who knew that there was such a low demand for other podcasts and a high demand for ours. We've actually reached, this is a monumental moment, which I haven't even shared. We've actually reached 1,000 views.
Wow, that's awesome.
On YouTube. We have quite a few more than that on Spotify. But since we started doing video again.
People want to see our faces?
I guess so. I mean, you know, we're not making any money off of it at 1,000 views, but nonetheless, they're there.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll jump right to it. We won't leave you waiting because we have quite a bit to cover in a little amount of time, and we like to go over. So we'll just jump into the what we like to talk about, the jumps and what's going on.
I said, hey, what's going on?
Thank you, Lainey. So the first thing that we're going to talk about and what's going on is Erica takes a girl trip with her Jazzer clan.
Yes. So a lot of you guys know that I jazzercise, and organizing a girls' trip is really a lot harder than people think, Chad. And because there's a lot of hype and a lot of buildup in a text group, right? And you're like, oh, we should do this. Oh, we should do that. Well, so me and 3 of my other jazzer pals, we like to call ourselves the Fab Four. Somebody gave us that nickname, and so you're very unamused by that. But somebody gave us that nickname, and it's kind of stuck. And so last year, we went to go see Pitbull in Dallas, and that was a lot of fun. And so this year, we decided to keep it close, and we rode the train to Hermann, Missouri. Woo, woo.
Okay.
One of our friends is a super planner, and she got the VRBO for us. She bought our train tickets for us. She laid all the plans out for us. Literally, Chad, all I had to do was show up with my suitcase. That's it.
Which is weird because, I mean, anybody that knows you knows that you like to be like everything's on a calendar.
Yeah.
By the minute.
Yeah.
On the calendar, what you're going to do.
Right. Like,
there's been mornings that you wake up on a regular Saturday. Like, what do you have planned for the day? I'm like, it's Saturday. Like, I don't know. I'm just now getting up. Like,
yeah. So
Bar Rescue's on right now.
So what do you have planned?
I don't have anything planned. I just woke up. Like, let me get my bearings first.
Yeah, I am that way. Probably because of my job. Like, everything to me is on a calendar, and I try to be flexible, but like
even then, it's like, hey, what do you have going on Saturday 6 months from now?
That is correct.
What? Really?
That is correct.
6 months from now, you want me to tell? I can't even tell you what's going on.
However,
this Saturday.
Let's discuss. Your life is a lot more organized if I help put social events on the calendar. You don't double book yourself.
I do not double book myself. That is correct. But I will say this, like, you do put things on the calendar, and it's events or concerts or family reunions or God knows what else you put on there. Medical visits. And so like whenever I attend things, I'm like, well, what are you here for? Well, my wife put it on the calendar, so
right.
that's why I'm here.
That's
And
right.
So yes, I'm aware of things,
Yeah.
and I can't be told that I didn't know in advance.
That's right.
Because
It's
I
like
certainly did.
it's like an inner home memo. You know,
It
like
is.
I sent you something, now it's your ball and cord.
Yeah, I just wake up and go, okay, Google, what are the events I have for today's schedule by Erica?
Well, so back to what I was saying is my friend is a great planner. She completely organized us. And, you know, this group of girls, we're so different and we come from all different backgrounds and we work out together a lot. And so to do something away from working out, and honestly, like I said, I left my brain in Kansas City and I got on this train and rode to Herman. Total low key. We were back in our condo by 5 p.m. or 6, like playing board games or playing games that we've made up or just listening to music and catching up. And, you know, I think it's really good for couples to have outside friends outside of their marriage. Like, you're my best friend, Chad. And
You're mine as well.
okay, good. I wrote that down for you to say.
Yeah, I was trying to read it. I couldn't read
It's
it.
on the calendar, Chad. but I think it's good that you a friend or a friend group, because your hobbies align. You're friends for a reason. Like, you play darts, right? And you just kind of started picking up a little dart league.
Yeah, I just started. I'm not
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
I'm not even good. I'm not even fair. I'm just
You're just
lonely.
there to play darts,
I'm
though.
just there to fellowship at this point.
Fellowship. But I think guys and gals need that, because I think, like, it lets you develop your other interest out. Like, I can go play darts with you, but you know I'm not very good.
Yeah, I think we would be comparable at this point.
Oh, well, maybe we should play and see who's better.
Yeah, I think you might actually beat me.
But it kind of be like our first time we went to Top Golf together.
Yeah,
Which
Angry
you
Birds doesn't count. I mean, you can hit it 5 feet and win an Angry Birds.
Yeah, and you said, "Oh, that's just made for people like you, Top Golf."
It is. Top Golf's a joke.
No, it's not. But I think it's good.
Which, by the way, is closed right now.
Well, I think it's good for people that are married or in relationships to have friends and have a healthy friendships. Like don't get me wrong. I don't need friends in my life that, like, we're out at the bar closing it down. I mean, I'm 46 years old. You know, I don't need that Friday, Saturday night trying to live like I'm single or whatever. But I do need friends that, well, honestly, Chad, if I didn't have friends, can you imagine how much I talk to you?
Oh my god. Well, it would either that. It would either be that, or you'd be how many TikTok videos you'd be looking at 24 hours a day, or Facebook, or how many outfits you'd be looking at on different apps.
Listen, if you were my only friend, Chad, we would have already.
We would buy a third dog.
We would have already published our own TikTok video. 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah, we would have bought a third dog.
But it was really great. We are trying to figure out, like, once a year where this little group of me and my friends go, and we just come back. Like, we just love it. We get to know each other more. And like I said, we're from all different backgrounds. We're all different ages, and so it's just a really fun time. And I think, like I said, I think that people need that in their life, and it's awesome to have a great friend or friend group that you can count on, because being a spouse, that's taxing. Like, you know, if you had to talk to me all the time, or I had to talk to you all the time, and we were the only people, like, I think it's healthy to have outside friendships.
Yeah, my friendship group is quite small. I would say a hell of a lot smaller than yours. Yeah. Like, I would say, like, I can probably count them on one hand, and okay. and our conversations go like, "You good? You busy? Right. You got anything? You got kids today? Yes or no? Yeah. Nope. Busy. All right, man. Holler at you later." And that's not a group text. Like, and then, like, whenever you do, like, events, it's an email. Like, we're gonna be here. If you want to show up, send your money, and if you don't send your money, you're not going. There is no back and forth group text. Like, I mean, we went through the group text conversation in previous episodes. Yeah. But, you know, it's very small. But yes, my circle is small, and it gets smaller, it seems like, every year. Like, every year it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So I don't have the same problem as you do.
Yeah, it is. And I think girls need that more than guys. Like, if guys have one good guy friend, like they're good, or two good guy friends, you know. But girls, like, and you've said this since we got together, like, you know, people. You told me once I was the most funeral going person that you've ever met.
Ever.
You said because you have way too many friends. If you
I've
keep
been to
going,
more family reunions with you than I have in my entire 46 years of existence.
but it's fun.
It is not fun.
Oh dang! What if some of my families listen to us?
Hell, I'm there. I like meeting people, but let's just be honest, family reunions are not fun.
Yeah, I guess so. So anyway, came back on the train. Like I said, we went to some wineries. We did like a charcuterie board type thing. We went to antique malls. We did girls trips in Herman. I mean, everybody looked just like me and my friends, and there was tons and tons and tons of girl groups everywhere. And you know what's nice about the girls trip to Herman, Chad?
What's that?
That checks it off the couples trip for us. So see, they actually did you a favor by going someplace.
By not us not having to pay for a plane ticket and a $400 ticket to Bruno Mars.
I mean,
Yeah, you're right. It saved us money. Thank you, girls. So the next thing we have is a developing story that has recently happened. If anybody is friends with Erica on the social pages of Facebook or Instagram, she had gotten her iPhone stolen by somebody while she was conveniently getting milk and some supplies from me at our local Target. And
yeah,
it was found
yeah. So
days later.
So I gave up all hope. We had a phone like within an hour. Chad was on the case. I mean, he locked my phone down, and we were off to Verizon before I could even hardly
before she can dry her tears is what I was going to say. She was crying over her phone getting stolen. That was probably 5 years old and was ready to be upgraded anyways.
A lot. So we got something in the mail from the Independence Police Department property room, and I was like, well, that's weird. But wasn't that weird noticing the timing of my phone getting stolen.
I wonder if it made the Independence Cops episode, because and Cops has been in Independence for like 2 or 3 months now.
Yeah, I don't know. I have a case number. But anyway, so I get this letter, I open it up, and sure enough, come retrieve your property at the Independence Police Department property room. And I was floored. So I spoke with a lady. I won't reveal her name because maybe she gave me some information that she wasn't.
Yeah, witness
supposed
protection.
To. But she said, I called her. I was like, hey. And she goes, oh, yeah. She goes, come on down. We've got your phone. And I said, can I ask how you have my phone? And she said, well, the gentleman that stole your phone also stole a car from Kansas City, Kansas that day. Yeah. I mean, why not? Make it a nice little Sunday. Steal a car, steal a phone. And so they were driving the car. They were not in police pursuit at all. They were driving the car and they wrecked it. And so they wrecked it bad enough that they had to be transported to the hospital. And the car was undrivable. So when that happens, then you get arrested at the hospital.
Yeah, they put you in a black level is what they call it. They put you in a black level room where anyway, they put you on a black, it's called the black level. I've actually been there before.
You watch too many, not you yourself.
No, not me myself, but I've been on the black level before in a hospital.
You watch too many reality. I had no idea. Thanks for teaching me something.
You're welcome. Google it.
But so this lady she says, okay, yeah, come down. And I was like, all right, I just work a couple miles from Independence. I'll be over there tomorrow to pick up my phone. So I go pick up my phone. Well, you have to wait to pick up your phone. And they sat me with the people that weren't waiting for property, but were waiting for their little inmates to get out. And so I sat next to all of them, anxiously awaiting their people when I was just waiting my property. And, obviously, I look a little Johnson County. I come in there, I have heels on. Hello, I'm just here for my phone. And anyway, they called my name, and I was like, that's me. Well, come to find out, not only did they take my phone, they took my Nebraska Furniture Mart card.
Oh. What do you know? And they didn't even use it.
They did not. What are they going to do, Chad? Like order a couch to get it delivered to their house?
I mean, that's money in the bank. You can sell that stuff and
But-
rent a center, that stuff.
But anyway, apparently the car that they stole had a backseat full of stolen property. So the people that wrecked their car, they're going to be fine. They didn't get, there's no life-threatening injuries. But all these people's stuff was getting returned to them. And the lady's like, oh yeah, we got a whole bunch of property to return.
Well, with the way our government is now, they were probably released and sent back on their way. So the next thing we have is this is a big one for me anyway. I played my first golf scramble in 2024 and I actually won it. Which is pretty impressive because I've never won a golf scramble in my life.
Nice.
So yeah, we won a golf scramble. It was very fun. I've spent hours and hours and hours, and my wife would testify that I've spent thousands of dollars on tools
We're
to
going
be-
pro. We're going
to be
pro.
able
Ricky
to
Bobby.
play good golf, and I am finally to the level that I feel like I can at least be competitive, and we were able to win one. Not that I won every hole or anything like that, but we did get to use my ball, and that's something that I haven't been able to do in probably 30 years.
That's
so
awesome.
it was very bonus. So the next thing we have after that is it's concert season
Yeah.
officially.
Hallelujah.
And so
Wait, is
hockey's over.
hockey? Okay.
We didn't
For
win.
like 3 months.
We didn't win, but it was a good season nonetheless.
Yeah.
It's kind of heartbreaking because they're busting up the band
Yeah.
already, and it's only been a week or two.
But way to
since we
go,
last-
Mavs! The farthest they've ever made it. That's really
Yeah,
freaking cool.
But it's concert season,
Yeah.
and we started it off pretty solid. I must admit, like
yeah,
I think this is the biggest concert season. We go to a lot of concerts. We go to a lot of little concerts. I would
Yeah.
consider little concerts.
yeah,
But we hit the two biggest ones right off the bat.
yeah. We don't have that many other big ones this summer. Like I felt like, like we ruined the good surprise. Like I felt like here we are, and it's concert season, and we're like, bang, bang, okay.
Well, Creed is a pretty big one.
Oh, right. I
for
did
me.
forget about that.
And Sammy Hagar,
Yeah.
Van Halen tour.
Okay,
But
yeah,
anyway,
come on. Yeah.
so but yeah, so the very first one we saw is in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
We rode down there in the midlife crisis mobile with the top down and got sunburnt by the time we got there.
You got sunburned. I did not.
And yeah, I was sunburnt really bad. And what's funny is I was darker than you were before we even left. So like
Yeah.
I shouldn't be getting sunburnt, but I'm getting sunburnt on top of sunburnt. So
yeah. Yeah.
but anyway, we went down, drove down in the midlife crisis mobile, and stayed the night and went and seen Justin Timberlake.
Which I found out based on age, you can't just say JT because people that are our parents' age, I said, oh, I'm going to see JT. And James Taylor was at Starlight the same week that Justin
That is
Timberlake.
correct.
And so one of my girlfriends who's 70, she said, oh, we have a different idea of who JT is. And she goes, oh, I saw you saw JT. How did you like him? And I was like, oh my gosh, Tulsa, blah, blah, blah. She goes, why didn't you just go see him at Starlight?
Yeah.
Different JTs.
Awkward.
Yeah.
So, one of the things that I thought was awkward, I wouldn't say awkward is not the word. Awkward happens to be the name of the segment of today's episode, but I thought was weird. There was a lot of dudes at the Justin Timberlake concert,
Why do you think that's weird?
and they were not only a lot of dudes, they were dancing, like for real dancing.
Yeah, they were getting down. They were bringing sexy back.
Luckily for me, I was able, because normally when I go to concerts with big name concerts, you got to stand for the whole show.
Oh,
Well,
man.
I'm getting older in my days, and I don't like to stand the whole show. I don't pay to stand. Like if I want to pay to stand, I'll get GA. I don't want to pay to stand for the whole damn show. So
Oh,
my wife is
get
up
off my
here.
lawn.
My wife is up here dancing to every song. Of course, she's standing.
I
And
was listening to the set list for 2 months
she
before.
leans down to me and says, I feel like I'm at this concert alone. And I look up and I go, I'm sorry. That's all I said. Well, then she goes back to her deal, and then she sits down. Finally, she sits down. Well, what she didn't understand was, until I told her, she's like, I don't think you're enjoying this concert. And I was really having a great time. I honestly was.
Yeah.
But
okay.
for the first time in a long time, I was able to sit for 90% of the show and then actually enjoy it. And my back didn't hurt, my feet didn't hurt.
Gosh, you're so
But the people, the guy in front of us, he wanted nothing to do with standing up, right?
no.
And the guy behind me, he also wanted nothing to do with standing up.
And you guys
So
were
I feel
all
like I
lying
should have
seats.
high-fived all those guys at the end of the concert, being like, "We did it, fellas. We got to watch this sitting down. It was awesome."
Well, and he was, to be fair, I kind of played in your favor. I got us an aisle seat.
Yes,
And-
I was on the end of the aisle.
And B, we were eye level with the stage.
We were.
And so, like, if you would have been sitting anywhere else in that arena, you would not have been able to sit. You would
So
have.
what my point is I really did enjoy the show. I didn't have to stand. My back wasn't hurting.
Good.
My legs weren't hurting. I'm just getting old. Maybe concerts are going to be for me in the next year or two. But
Whoa! Watch your mouth.
it was a good time, and the show itself was really good. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like Justin Timberlake was still dancing the same routines that he danced
Yeah.
in previous shows.
Yeah.
Which
Why fix it if it's not broken?
I just what I mean he as far as I'm concerned he's our generation's Michael Jackson, but he didn't dance as much to me. Like
Maybe if you're standing up, you
and if you didn't know the songs word by word, the audio wasn't that great at times.
Yeah, I don't know if that was the venue. I don't know because
Because there were songs I didn't know
Yeah.
that I couldn't even tell you what the words were, even with a caption.
Well, Tulsa was the cheapest show on his concert tour. And so I don't know if maybe that's just kind of a not great venue. We've never been there before. I mean,
Yeah.
it seemed okay.
Yeah.
But maybe the quality, I just don't know how old it is. or
So you
anything
agree
like
with
that.
me that there were some songs you couldn't make out?
Well, okay, yeah, but like I said, I've been listening to the set list for months,
probably.
so I knew.
But the acoustic stuff, the stuff and right in front of us,
yeah,
which was only like 30-40 yards away from us.
yeah.
That was all good. It was just there was probably like 2 or 3 songs I couldn't make out the words, but that's
Chad,
okay.
I was going to tell you, I had a dream about Justin Timberlake.
Oh, well, this is exciting.
And I had a dream that he asked me to be one of his backup dancers.
Okay.
And so in Jazzercise, we do this move and we go like this and then we go like this, right?
Uh-huh.
And that's the only move I knew to try out for Justin Timberlake.
Mm.
So I didn't make it, not in my dream or real life. So here I am.
Well, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I'm glad we have we had somebody that took the tree outs for Justin Timberlake. Maybe you should take your audition to America's Got Talent.
Oh, maybe, and just go with the one move, like,
Yeah.
or maybe a little more, maybe cross in the front.
Yeah.
I
think they would like
I
that.
was kind of disappointed that, like, in my dream, not in my dream, I couldn't even make it. So,
But then,
yeah,
on top of that,
yeah,
last week we went and saw the White Horse himself, Chris Stapleton,
yeah.
in Kansas City, and he opened with White Horse, so I could have left right after that, as far as I'm concerned, because
Mom,
not only did I buy the White Horse T-shirt, I heard White Horse. It was the very first song, and it was amazing. But there was obviously he has hits after hit after hit, and there's some songs that don't get played on the radio at all that are still considered hits.
sure.
But I mean, man, that guy can sing an infomercial and panties would drop probably.
Yeah.
Like he's that
Canadian commercial that would be out.
he's that
Guardian or Jardian.
he can sing. Yeah, he can sing the Jardian commercial. He can sing the A1C. He can sing something about biscuits and like
Oh.
boom, there goes the panties. But he's such a great singer. I just, you know, he's unbelievable. And if you haven't ever seen him, that's the third time I've seen him, but that's the first time I've seen him in an arena.
Yeah.
But it's amazing, and to see him singing with his wife kind of reminded me of some of the old school people singing with their wives, like George Jones and Loretta Lynn. You know, some of those old schools that sang. Obviously, Chris Stapleton's sober, but
Yeah.
you know, you can see them standing on stage singing together.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty powerful, and I was like, wow, you know, this is pretty neat that they're singing together, and they're not only singing one song, they're singing like 5 or 6 songs together.
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty cool. That
Yeah.
not only does he include her, I mean, she's on tour with him all the time as well,
Yeah.
so keep him in check. But I thought it was amazing.
Good.
Chris Stapleton was great.
Well, that was your Father's Day present, so I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I thought it was our anniversary present.
No. No,
okay.
your anniversary present's coming in the mail, and I can't wait for you to get it.
You're a step ahead of me. I was thinking about that today. I was like, damn, I only have like
You have
8
1
days.
week. 1 week, Chad. Our anniversary is next Monday.
Yep.
1 week.
Yep.
And we'll be married for 20 years. I mean, 2.
Yep.
Oh, 2. There's a 2 in it.
Too lot.
2 a lot.
All right, so now we're gonna move on to the next segment, which is
That's hot. 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 This is hot.
so the first thing that I want to bring up.
Wow, you didn't even thank Paris for coming
And
on our
that's
show.
hot. Thank you, Paris. You're beautiful as always. The first thing I want to bring up in That's Hot is news that had recently dropped over the weekend. And you probably don't even know this.
I don't.
So Shooter Jennings, which is Waylon Jennings' son.
Uh-huh.
Waylon Jennings is
I know
the
him.
country singer
Yeah, I know
legend.
him. Mhm.
He posted on Father's Day on his and Waylon Jennings' Facebook that they were going through old unheard demos
Huh.
and full tracks that have never been released by Waylon.
Wow.
And they have decided they are going to put an album of unheard music together by Waylon Jennings in 2025.
Wow.
So they moved it over from cassette to digital, then they moved it from digital to another form of digital, and now they're going to put it together and probably have to do a little bit of remixing, a little bit, I'm assuming.
Sure. Yeah.
And then they're going to release it in 2025. So it's kind of like Tupac. We can bring Tupac back too while we're at it. We
Yeah,
can bring
no
all these
doubt.
dead folks back. We have actually good music again in 2025.
No doubt. Man, I know one kid out in this universe is going to be super happy to know there's going to be new Waylon Jennings music in the world.
Probably. If George Jones did the same thing, shoot. That's fishing music right there. PBR and fishing music.
Oh, that's really cool, Chad.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. I wish we had more of that with our artists that had passed that we had just never heard of, that we just get albums that
Yeah.
released.
Yeah.
But you know,
Coming
I
to
thought
live from the cemetery.
that Shooter said he's had that stuff forever, and he's just now started getting the time to dig into it because he just wasn't ready. So it's pretty neat. So
Yeah.
the next thing we have, and that's hot, and this is not really a hot deal,
It
but
is not
it is certainly a hot topic, and it certainly does pertain to us.
hot.
You were gonna say no shit, right?
I was going to say no shucks.
But Live Nation
hmm
and Ticketmaster had a data breach
Yeah.
that impacted a little under 1 million people. And what that breach entailed was it didn't take your credit card information. It didn't take any of that. But what it did take is it took your first name, your last name, your email address, your phone number, all that stuff. And so now, if you
Can I
are
go find that at the Independence Police Department?
yeah, so I bring this up not because I want to scare anybody, but you can most of your credit cards, if you have credit monitoring, that's great too. But you can run a scan on most of your credit cards and most of your credit monitoring, because you have credit monitoring on your credit cards.
Yeah.
You can see if in fact that you were breached, and then therefore you can put a report on it, and then that way you're protected. There's if you go to Google, how to protect yourself from a data breach, it gives you a step-by-step process to where you can do that. But
look at you giving out more factual information. And
well, I mean, I went through it. I know. I mean, I found my information on an underground website one time that I didn't even know existed.
Those foot pictures get you every time.
Yeah, well, I was a wrist model at one point in time in my life. So the next thing we have for That's Hot is the
wait. So what's going to happen?
What do you mean?
Do we get so if
well, you know how it is. No different than the NFL package lawsuit, that $1 billion lawsuit.
So we're going to get $4?
They're going to do $1 billion lawsuit, and then we're going to get a $4 credit because it impacted a little over 500,000 people, so we're going to get a $4 credit or something.
We buy a lot of concert tickets.
I know, but it's not. I mean, the same thing with the NFL package. There's an NFL package lawsuit that's in the 10th phase of getting approved to be paid out. Well, what happened there is the original agreement that ESPN agreed on is something around $70 for the package, right?
Yeah.
Well, the NFL didn't like the fact that it was going to be $70, so they moved it up to like $250 or $299.
Oh, okay.
And so they and I don't know the word I'm looking for, but maximized it to $299 instead of $70.
Oh.
And so some person said that it wasn't affordable for your regular household people. Well, then they started digging deeper and they found all this. But did you know this? This is more important than that. So I'm a big Bar Rescue fan, right? Yeah. Almost as big a Bar Rescue fan as I am a Lainey Wilson fan.
So are our dogs. Our dogs are big Bar Rescue fans.
They do. They just listen to John Taffer yell at them all day.
I'm pretty sure they're frying the chicken strips.
But John Taffer, our Bar Rescue, is on Pluto TV, and you can watch it on a marathon 24 hours a day whenever you want.
7 days a week.
And there's like 17 seasons, so it's like you've never seen the same episode twice. So, but the thing that I learned was after kind of doing some homework on this John Taffer dude, because I mean, obviously he's an asshole on TV, but he also was on the NFL board at one point in time, and he was the creator of the NFL Sunday Ticket. He was behind putting all these games together and selling it as a package.
Yeah.
So not only is he a Bar Rescue, he's a huge influence for the NFL at one point in time.
Well, that would maybe, I mean, it kind of ties into his line of work, though, because if you think about like places that are buying the NFL package, right?
Sure, yeah. Bars?
Yeah.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, like, why not, hey, I've got this thing, like, you know.
Yeah, you can have different game on every television.
Yeah. So that makes sense for him to be a part of it. I mean, I really didn't think about it until you just said it, but like,
yeah, I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So the next thing we have is the Kansas City Chiefs decided that they were going to I think pretty much all of them, went to the White House to do the ceremony for the NFL football champions.
That's a weird thing to me. Is that a weird thing to you that they send the Super Bowl champions to?
No, I don't think so. Their recognized World Series is hockey. They all do it. They all have their moment.
I think it's kind of, I don't know. Like, I get, like, I'm going to Disney World, but, like, the White House?
Well, you notice that they put Harrison Butker on the end this time.
I bet they did.
Yes, they put him on the end.
His wife was at home.
Yeah, his wife was at home doing her job.
Whoa! I have a full-time job. No hate.
I was totally joking. It was a joke. It was a joke. So the funny thing about Harrison Butker is, number one, he started to become one of the hottest selling jerseys right after he made his speech. Well, now the Nike had approached him to do to be a sponsor for him.
Really?
And he turned it down.
He's one of the top women selling jerseys right now.
Did you know that he turned down Nike?
No.
Yes, he turned down Nike. Do you want to hear his reasoning?
Why?
Because he didn't want to be associated with anything that was attached to Colin Kaepernick.
Oh.
That was his reasoning.
Oh.
So
Okay.
anyway, back to the Chiefs
What's hot?
visiting the White House. If you remember last year, man, we're just spoiled. We're talking about the year before last year when the
I
Chiefs
know.
visited
You
the
know,
Super
like
Bowl.
last year when they went to the White
Last year,
House?
Travis Kelsey
Patriots
walked up to
came.
the podium and was about to say, hello America,
Yeah.
type deal, and Patrick Mahomes stopped him.
Thank
Well,
goodness.
this time, Joe Biden actually calls him up to the stage, and so he can say something on the mic, and this is what he decided to say.
I'd have Travis come up here, but God only knows what he'd say. Travis, come here. It's all yours, pal.
My fellow Americans, it's nice to see you all yet again. I'm not going to lie, President Biden, they told me if I came up here I'd get tased, so I'm going to go back to my spot, all right? Let's see.
So
Chad, he's Taylor Swift's boyfriend. Biden's probably just trying to get tickets for his grandkids.
I'm sure he was looking for an endorsement. And then you got Aaron Rodgers over here calling him Mr. Pfizer. So, I mean, it's probably working out for him. But
Oh, boy.
But yeah, I thought it was funny that he's like, I'm just going to go sit back. I don't want to get tased.
Right. Yeah.
But that was cool. And then you got to see Biden putting on the helmet, which you couldn't even, that looked like slow motion when he was doing it, and it wasn't. It was him in real time putting on his helmet in slow motion.
Did it remind you of, being a boy, like, did it remind you of, like, when you probably got a fake football helmet, or maybe you got a real one to go play in the backyard and your grandpa or your dad was trying to put it on their head? That's what it reminded me of. It was like,
It was so slow. It was like,
it's funny.
poor guy. Anyway, the next thing we have, and that's hot, is this is not really a topic that I would normally pick, but I think it's been kind of relevant lately, and it's been a pretty hot topic.
Yeah.
If you know anything about Caitlin Clark, she is the new face of the WNBA.
Yeah.
And I'm not a WNBA fan, nor have I ever claimed to be a WNBA fan. I couldn't tell you anybody's name out of Cheryl Swoop and Leslie something.
Man, that's good. Cheryl and Leslie. You know
Cheryl
them.
and Leslie. Well, those were like the OGs
Yeah.
from, and I think one of them is a coach now.
Oh.
But anyway, Caitlin Clark has been taking shots from other WNBA players, and they're pretty hard and they're pretty aggressive. And you've seen people like Charles Barkley and some of the other ESPN analysis and things like that coming forward and saying enough's enough. Like, she's the face of your franchise. You should,
Protect her.
I'm not saying protect her, but, let's just not go out there and just throw haymakers at her. Well, then this week, Angel Reese, which is an LSU alum, that was part of the national championship team that beat Caitlin Clark, hit her in the head, and she got a flagrant foul, and she just couldn't understand why. And she just came to the point where she said, hey, look, if I'm going to be the villain, I'll accept that, blah, 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 blah. And then Caitlin Clark, goes up there graciously and says, hey, fouls are just part of the game, blah, 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 blah. But, it's getting pretty bad. Like, for real. Like, this girl, I don't know that she's going to survive
Do you feel it?
the whole season of the
It's kind
WNBA.
of like, so it sucks. So I'm not going to play the girl card.
She
but
clearly makes more money than every single one of them, and every single one of them knows it.
Right. I'm not going to play the girl card, but I am.
It's not equal.
Because, why, these women are attacking other women that are successful. Like, they're finally starting to get traction for this sport. They're getting more eyes. They're getting more TV. They're probably getting more sponsorships because of
Which
Caitlin
in return would bring in more money
Yeah.
for them in the long run. But go ahead.
Absolutely. And these women, and they're grown, even though they're young women, right? You're talking, what's the age range? Probably 22 to 28. And they're attacking each other, and they're making this sport, which men have done fine and not attacked each other for several years. And we have this now, this is happening, and it's just sad. Like, that is one of my, and I, like we've talked about earlier in this episode, I have a good group of girlfriends, but why women have to go after other women? Like everybody, you can talk to anybody our age, maybe even younger, and they know who Nancy Kerrigan is and they know who Tanya Harding is. But that's a prime example of the jealousy between two women in a sport. And, you know, and how, I mean, Chad, there was a Netflix special on them like 2 weeks ago, you know, and it's just really sad that all these good things are happening for the WNBA and these terrible, I mean, honestly, terrible role models are the ones that are like, well, I'm just going to hit her in the head, or I'm going to do things like that are just tarnishing this great thing that's happening for women right now. So I'll get off my soapbox. But it
Yeah,
just
no,
pisses
I
me
don't
off.
disagree. I just think that they could. I mean, men do the same thing, but they do it in the playoffs. You know, in
Right.
hockey,
Yeah.
the intensity is much harder or
Right.
higher,
Yeah.
and basketball, the intensity is much
Sure.
higher. But you're talking about game 2 of the regular season, and we're
Right.
already throwing hands.
Exhibition games. and
We're
things like
already
that.
throwing hands. It's like, come on,
Yeah.
man, like
Yeah.
get out
It's
of here.
very sad.
So the last and final that's hot, which I think is pretty hot, is
Oh my gosh.
Taylor Swift was at her last concert and did the old farmer's blow, blew some snot out, and just wiped it off on her $16,000 outfit, and then gets criticized by the media and all of her fans by doing a good old fashioned farmer's blow.
Chad,
You know how many farmer's blows I've done in my day?
it's cold and rainy where she's at. Her nose was running. What else? Was she supposed to be like, do a Zach Morris timeout?
Look, I don't have a problem with it. I am not the media. I thought it was hot. It's like, finally, Taylor, between flipping people off and farmer's blow, like, I have more respect for her in the last 6 months than I ever have. So Travis is getting her humbled, and he's getting her right. He's teaching her a few things.
Boy, no, it's funny though. But yeah, you're right. She probably blew her nose on a $16,000 jacket.
Yeah, for sure, $16,000, and she probably threw it away right after the concert was over.
No,
And if
she
not,
probably just had a dry clean.
if not, it's going to an auction. And it's going to be sold for $1 million because it's got her DNA on
It's
it.
got Taylor's boogers on it.
And that's it for That's Hot. And we're going to move on to our topics of this week, which is awkward moments. And I feel like we're going to have a second episode of this at one point in time. But in this episode, we're going to talk about awkward moments that you've had with your neighbors.
Huh.
And I'm going to let you start because I feel like you have way more than I do.
Well, I feel like you're saying that because you think that maybe I'm the fun police in a neighborhood.
Yep, you're HOA on steroids, but only to me.
No, not anymore.
Not anymore, but it was only to me for a long time.
Yeah.
Until I was like, I'm tired of hearing it. Take it up with HOA.
But so I haven't ever lived in a subdivision that's had an HOA, and I think that in itself lends it to a lot of awkward moments between neighbors because, like, let's just hypothetically say that there's a yard issue with a neighbor. You're going to know somebody tattled on you, right? And you're going to be able to narrow it down. Unless you're at the entrance of your subdivision, you're going to be able to narrow it down. But like any type of HOA complaints, then, I mean, and no, they don't live with us, but like we see all of our neighbors. Heck, we were coming down from the pool and we're standing there in our swimsuits talking to our neighbors, and so anyway, the subdivision HOA thing, this is the first time I've ever lived in a subdivision that had one, and there are rules for a reason, Chad. There are rules for a reason.
I don't disagree.
So I'll tell you this: my one awkward moment that I had. That's actually my favorite because now we're great friends. So my neighbors lived across the cul-de-sac from me, and do you remember those little tiny bikes that were they were dirt bikes, but they weren't? I don't remember
they're
what
called mini bikes.
Mini bikes.
Yep.
Okay. Fair enough. I felt like that was something close
Yeah.
to what they were called.
Yeah.
So my son was only like 2-ish, right? And I didn't know the neighbors across the cul-de-sac very well. But they had a cat, and they left their garage open about this much for the cat to go in and out. The cat liked to get in the whatever. I don't know. It was on them, right? Didn't know them very well. But my son had spotted that they had a mini bike in their garage. And because he'd seen the dad ride it around the street and when he was out. So at the time, I had a handle on my front door that you could just basically pull your thumb down. You have to unlock the deadbolt. But I mean, you know, if you're home during the day, you're not locking the deadbolt all the time. You put your thumb down and you just push and let yourself out. Well, my son decided when I thought he was taking a nap that he was going to travel at like 19 months old across the cul-de-sac, shimmy underneath these people's garage door, and get on their mini bike in their garage.
Okay.
So I received a phone call from my neighbor. Hi, Erica. Your son's in our garage. He was sitting on the mini bike. He didn't start it or anything. I mean, he's still a toddler. The neighbors. And so, like, now, thank goodness, they were very nice neighbors because they really could have been like, my kid left my house, was in their house.
Yeah, child services getting called.
Very awkward because I was like, it won't ever happen again. Well, I had to change the doorknobs out on my door, and then like I had to rubber band like pantyhose on the doorknob so he couldn't get a hold of it to get out because obviously he knew where that bike was now. So that was really awkward. Again, we're great friends now, but that was one of our very first interactions was my son being in their house.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
one of mine was, we're going to go back early years. My dad lived in Belton on Spring Street in Belton, Missouri. And we had a couple twins living across the street. And we used to box all the time in their front yard. And they were really good boxers. Well, one of them really was.
Yeah.
And I was just throw haymakers. Hopefully I didn't gas out in the first 2 minutes. No cardio at all type.
Yeah.
And I think I might have been, I don't know, maybe 9, 10 maybe. And so my dad was at work, I was at home, and their parents were at work, and they were
nobody's watching the kids.
Nobody's watching.
It's the 80s.
And so we decided that we were going to box outside because, I mean, it was normal. That's what we did back then. You know, we didn't have, I mean, we had Atari and Nintendo maybe, but we didn't have like video games, and when they weren't really that cool back then, right? So we would go outside and we put gloves on and we would box. And like I said, I'm not a very good boxer. And like, if I can make it to 2 minutes, I got a chance of winning. But after that, I'm out, right?
Okay.
And so their name was Devin and Daniel, I believe their name was.
All right.
And so I was boxing one of them, and the other one
at this corner at 42
the other twin was a referee.
Oh, okay.
And so we were boxing, and I ended up knocking one of them out, like sleeping.
No parents are around.
And no parents are around. And
okay.
So I mean, I never done that before at 10. Like, I never knocked any. I mean, throughout all the wrestling on the side of the house and before that, and pile drivers and bombs and things like that, I had never knocked anybody out before. So as soon as I did, I threw the gloves off and went home.
Oh.
And so what was funny?
Well, nothing to see here.
what was funny was the parent was pulling in the driveway. Their parent was pulling in the driveway as I was running across the street. And the brother was trying to slap his brother awake. And his mom gets out of the car and she's screaming.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, what happened? And no, she didn't say that. But anyway, she walks up and she gets him awake, and he's obviously fine.
Yeah.
And she comes over to the house, and she's like, "What happened? What'd you guys do?" And I was like, I just told her, I was like, we were boxing and I mean, He went
He
to
fell
sleep.
on my hand.
Yeah,
I don't
he went
even
to sleep on my
know.
hand. I don't even know. Like I never had it happen
Yeah.
before.
You look down at him.
And so like she's like, "Oh, okay. Well, that makes more sense." She goes, "I just wanted to make sure it wasn't something worse than that." And I was like, "Okay." But I mean,
Get out of my yard before my dad gets home.
it's pretty awkward, and so that was my first real awkward interaction that I remember with the neighbor. I was like, "Oh my god," because dude, I was scared to death that I had killed that kid, and I didn't.
No,
I
so,
didn't-
but he ran home.
And so I ran home and was like, "Well, this is where it happens." 10 years old, police are on their way.
Boys, bad boys.
Yeah, watching Bad Boys all those times, and right after Simpsons,
Oh my god.
they're coming to get me. But yeah, that was my first awkward moment where I was like, "Man, this is where it happens. This is where I go down." It's never happened since then, but it was like I said, I had energy that day, I guess,
Thank
and
goodness.
I made it.
These neighbor people better look out. So.
Yeah. So, do you have any other ones?
Well, yeah. So same neighborhood. We had only lived there like, maybe 3 or 4 days. And there's a lot of kids. You know, when you got a lot of kids in a neighborhood or a cul-de-sac, we don't have any in ours here. It's like, this is like Shady Pines where we live. But, when you have a lot of kids in the cul-de-sac, something's going to go crazy, right? And all the kids, because I'm from Lewisburg, all the kids go to the same elementary school. So it's not like you're moving into a subdivision and you don't know everybody. And so we were there, I swear, we were there 3 days. And my daughter was riding around on her bicycle. And the neighbor boy lived directly next to us, same grade as her. They were outside playing, and they were throwing rocks at each other, and he threw a rock and split right above her eye. I mean, to tell you that there was still gravel, right? So our house was just built and whatnot. And so obviously, like, I had to take her to the ER, and she got stitches, and it was in her eyebrow. So it wasn't, I mean, you could still see it a little tiny bit now that she's grown, but like having to discuss medical bills with a neighbor and be like, I mean, because you're trusting 6-year-olds to tell you what happened.
Yeah, for sure.
And then you're trying to talk to the neighbor like, so the ER visit was this much, and the neighbor was like, yeah, okay, and so like, you don't want to get like crazy angry with them over this little, I mean, it was like $700, I think is how much it ended up costing.
Yeah.
But
are you gonna Venmo it to me? That didn't exist back in these days.
You share a fence with these people. Their son's in the same grade as your daughter, like, and literally 3 days. I mean, so that was really awkward. Like trying to like.
We did that with Thomas as well. Remember when he wrecked the car?
Yeah.
That he ended up buying. He's like,
Yeah.
"Hey, your son backed into such and such, and it's gonna cost $850." And we were like, "All right, are you gonna claim it on your insurance? Like, what's happening?"
Yeah, what are we doing here?
And he's like, we're not claiming it on insurance. And I was like, "Oh, so what are you expecting from me? Like,
yeah.
I mean, do you want to claim it on my insurance? Like."
Yeah, it's really difficult. Like I said, when there's a lot of kids in a neighborhood, shit's bound to happen, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, then what? And it does like cause discord in the neighborhood. Like, if you would have went at them guns a-blazing, or I would have went at these people and been like,
"Not my problem.
We want our money now." Then what do? You take your neighbor to small
Call
claims
JG
court?
Wentworth.
But like actually, my daughter in that neighborhood, that happened, and 2 weeks later she was fixing her pigtails on her bike and she fell and busted her front tooth. So like that neighborhood was cursed at the beginning when we moved.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
So one of my last one would be and this actually was when I was an adult, and this has happened in multiple multiple areas, not just.
Look out, neighbors.
Yes, it's actually even happened here in this subdivision. So, not quite to the extent of the story I'm about to tell,
Okay.
but so I'm very notorious for having loud music being played at my house, right? So
yeah.
we have huge subwoofers all throughout the house in almost every room. And we have a great surround sound in our sub basement. We have a great surround sound in our living room. We have a great surround sound in our garage,
I
right?
think we were deaf.
And so it's always like if the kids throw a party here, you're gonna hear it like way down the street. So
when you're
and
playing
like
in the garage, I hear it in our bedroom.
I've actually had our neighbor 2 houses down say, "What was you watching last night?" I could hear it from
Oh
my house.
God, we're sorry.
And that was when we first moved in.
We're gonna get hearing aids.
But
we're sorry.
so I've always had loud stereo systems for like movies and I like to watch concerts on YouTube quite a bit. And so whenever I had this barn, we used to call it the Boar's Nest. I had this barn back behind my house that we had turned into a bar, right? We had a bar top put in there. We had
do you have a liquor license?
We do not have a liquor. There's no private membership either. You just pull up. We got you.
Sounds like some violations right there.
So, but we had big screen in there. We had karaoke. We had all kinds. We had guitars. We had drums. We had all kinds of things in there.
Okay.
And but I would go down there, and I would just hang out, and I would hang out there right after work. And this is when I actually was going to work and not working remote. I would go down there when I got home from work. I'd literally drive my truck back to the barn and just go bypass the house altogether and just hang out at the bar in the barn. And I did this for quite a few months, and the music was relatively booming. And I was living on 5 acres at this time.
Oh.
So I didn't really have anybody really close to me.
Yeah.
And so this neighbor came over to my house, which was probably 2 or 3 acres away from me.
Okay.
And it was probably about, I don't know, 8:30, because he's old and he's going to bed at 9. Which
says the guy who went to bed at 8:45 last night.
Which now I'm on his level. But he comes
up
over at like 8:30, 9 o'clock, and he goes, "Hey man, I thought it was just going to end, and I thought it was just a phase. But, when do you plan on turning your music down? Anytime soon?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I can turn it down right now." But then the next day I would go right back to the same thing, and he would wait it out, 9. And this time he wait till 9:30, and he'd come over. But I'm like I said, I'm living in the middle of nowhere, right?
He gave you a curfew.
Yeah, so I had a curfew on 5 acres, which was stupid. It pissed me off. And so finally,
you're not going to tell me I can't play my music.
Yeah, it's exactly what ended up happening. So I did the courteous thing for a long time, and the more he came over, the more I started getting pissed off. And I was like, "Look, the last time he came over, and it was the last time.
He came over at 5:15.
He came over, and he said, I don't want to keep coming over here." I'm like, "Who are you gonna call? You gonna call the cops?" Like,
boy,
we don't have an HOA. We don't have a noise ordinance. Yeah. Like, I'm sitting here at my house listening to the radio. I'm sorry, you can hear it through your paper thin windows. You need to upgrade your windows.
Oh my God.
It's not my problem.
Yeah.
And so, but eventually, as I got older, it ended up dying naturally. But I wasn't gonna have him. I have 5 acres. Like, I'm not gonna have somebody tell me that I can't do something with 5 acres around me.
Well, Ethel, it's time to go down and tell Chad to turn down his music.
It was so annoying, and it was super awkward because, number one, the reason why it was awkward is because I've known him my whole life almost. And number two, it was awkward because my best friends, it was his in-laws. And so, I'm pretty sure I was the no good son of a bitch at every Christmas and every reunion that happened over there.
Yeah, you definitely made it in the family Christmas letter.
I'm sure I'm still a no good son of a bitch now. But
yeah, they were like, we would have a peaceful new year if Chad Jump would just turn down his music.
Yeah, well, we didn't do things on New Year's. New Year's is amateur hour. But anyways, so that was my weirdest awkward neighborhood moment. And with that, we're going to end on time.
What?
We are. So we appreciate you guys listening to the awkward episode 16 of Interactions with Neighbors.
That's awkward.
And we hope to continue. I actually have some other things that I've been thinking about for awkward conversations, awkward moments with friends, awkward moments with family, awkward moments with kids. So I think that we can really expand on this. But before we go, I want to let everybody know, if you've listened this far, you deserve to hear this, and hopefully you capitalize on it. We are going to do something we have never done before.
You could have told me about this before.
Yeah, Erica doesn't even know about this.
Well, I mean, what's going on
So
here?
I've been doing some work in the back end since we've been off for 2 or 3 weeks. And one of the things that I've been working on is we are going to do our first live segment in our next episode. And in this live segment, it could go off the rails. I have no idea what's going to happen. We're going to have a small outline of what we're going to talk about, like we always do. But this time, there will be interaction with our listeners that happen to be listening to us live. And what that will encompass is we will see, it'll be on Facebook live, and it will be on YouTube live, and we will see if you type in a comment, we will be able to share your comment on the live segment, answer your comment, questions on the live segment. So you guys will help drive the live segment that we have for the next episode. So if you would,
this is definitely awkward.
It's I don't know what it's going to turn out like. It's going to be live, but I'm testing this for a reason, and I would hope that we would have some people participate to try to help us test this, because as you guys know, we do the ALS charity event every year.
Yeah.
And I'm looking to do the ALS charity event live with our friends Matt and Tara Miller and some of their friends that help do the event. And so we want to be able to raise money for the ALS charity in the near future. And I want to do it live, and I want to be able to broadcast it live. And so that's the reasoning behind us doing this live test. So if we fail, it's okay. I'll learn from it. But ultimately, I want to at least try it one time to incorporate anybody that listens. And if you happen to be on Facebook, you'll see us pop up there. Just make a comment. We'll gladly acknowledge you if we can.
Are we going to give
ask a question? Ask a question. One of us will answer. And let's just try to interact and see how it works. Because if it works, I would like to incorporate this for the ALS event for Tara and Matt Miller, which I believe is normally in August. So keep in mind, we're going to do that. I'm going to do it at a nice hour that's prime time, which is around 7. So that way, people that look at their phone at 7 can interact with us. So
I like it.
If you would,
we'll give you guys a heads up on the day.
If you would, just keep an eye out on Erica's social media, my social media, and then also the Middle Age Moment social media. And we will let you guys know when we're doing it and the time. And you will be able to watch it on Facebook Live, and you will also be able to watch it on YouTube Live.
I like it.
And we'll try to read everybody's comments, even if we haven't heard from you in a while.
I like it.
All right.
So now remember, you have 7 days to buy my anniversary gifts, our anniversary season.
And we'll see you when we see you. Take care.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode of Middle Age Moments. Visit middleagemoments.com for previous and future episodes. Until next time.